Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into the ideas of a philosopher named Allama Iqbal. And you might be thinking, a century-old thinker, what's he got to do with me? Well, it turns out his message on hope and struggle is incredibly relevant, maybe more now than ever before.
Now, that's a pretty bold statement, right? The greatest in 600 years. But here's the thing, a lot of people agree. Iqbal's real genius was how he could take the best of Eastern and Western thought and weave them together. He created something totally new and honestly, something we still need today. So that's the big question, isn't it? What can these words from 100 years ago really offer us today? Well, to figure that out, we're not going to start with some dusty old books. Instead, we're heading to a battlefield, a place of total crisis in very recent history.
Okay, so first up, the message of hope and resilience. And to get at this, we need to go back to the 1990s, to a story out of war-torn Europe that just perfectly shows you the power of Iqbal's ideas in action. So imagine this. It's the middle of the Bosnian War. Everything is in ruins. The country's first president, Alija Izetbegovic, is meeting with a delegation from Pakistan. And these visitors, they're just looking around, absolutely stunned by the scale of the destruction. And the president tells them something incredible. He says, "Look, our enemy has taken everything from us, our homes, our cities, everything. But he says there are two things they could never take. Two things that kept his people going even in the absolute darkest moments." So what were they? What were these two unbreakable things? First, he said, was hope, a belief in a better future. And second, resilience, the sheer grit and strength to get through the horror of the present. Hope and resilience, that's what was holding the entire country together. And then comes the kicker. He tells the delegation where that strength came from. It wasn't some new military plan, it wasn't some political ideology. He said, "We got these from the philosophy of Allama Iqbal." Just think about that. In the middle of a war, it's a poet's ideas giving people the will to survive. All right, section 2, a world inspired by Iqbal. Because that story from Bosnia, that's not a one-off. His influence is, well, it's global. It crosses borders, cultures, you name it. It just goes to show how universal his message really is. Take Central Asia, for example. You have whole countries there that say his revolutionary poetry was a key to their freedom. And get this, Tajikistan actually made one of his Persian poems its national anthem. His words literally became the sound of liberation. Now let's jump over to Turkey, a country that Iqbal really admired for its own spirit and resilience. And the connection there is wow. It's said that President Erdogan himself has memorized dozens of Iqbal's poems. And he doesn't just know them, he uses them all the time in his speeches. That tells you just how deep these ideas run in Turkey.
Okay, but what's really fascinating is his influence in neighboring Iran. I mean, he's so revered there, you'd almost think he was one of their own national poets.
And this isn't just on the street, this goes right to the very top. The supreme leader of Iran, Ali Khamenei, has proudly called himself a disciple of Iqbal. And one of the main intellectual guides of the Iranian Revolution, Dr. Ali Shariati, he considered Iqbal his mentor. That's some serious influence. But it's not all about politics and revolutions. The connection can be incredibly personal. There's this great little story from the Bangladeshi ambassador to Pakistan that just shows this perfectly. So he was at this conference, right? And he just shares this simple fact. He says his parents named him Muhammad Iqbal, not because it was a family name, but purely out of their love and devotion for the man himself. His very identity is a tribute to the poet. How amazing is that? Okay, section 3, the path of struggle and knowledge. We've heard all these incredible stories about his reach. But what is this philosophy? What's the core idea that inspires presidents, revolutionaries, and even parents choosing a name for their child? Well, when you boil it all down, it's a powerful call to action.
This line says it all. Without continuous effort, no gem is revealed. Think about that. At its very heart, Iqbal's message is about doing. It's about action. He's saying, look, you can be a diamond in the rough, but unless you go through the pressure and the cutting and the polishing, that tireless work, your true brilliance will never shine through. Potential is nothing without effort.
So he believed that any kind of revival, whether it's for you personally or for a whole community, comes down to two things. First, just like we said, relentless effort, constant struggle, but
And this is key, that effort can't be random. It has to be guided by the second thing, a deep, passionate pursuit of knowledge and research. You have to understand the world, because really, action without knowledge is just flailing around in the dark.
And to describe just how intense that effort needs to be, Iqbal used this really powerful, almost graphic metaphor, the blood of the heart, or khune jigar. It means burning your heart's blood. It's this idea that to achieve real mastery at anything, whether you're an artist or an engineer, it takes more than just hard work. It takes a kind of soul-burning passion, a level of sacrifice that is all-consuming.
Which brings us to our final section, a lesson for the youth. Okay, so what does all this mean for us right now? For anyone, especially young people, who might be looking at the world and feeling kind of hopeless or disconnected. How does this even apply?
Well, back in his day, people would come to him totally worried about the state of the world, about great empires crumbling. And he didn't give them some easy, comforting answer. No, he gave them this image. He said, the dawn is born from the blood of 100,000 stars. Think about that. A new day doesn't just magically appear. It only comes after countless stars have burned themselves out, sacrificed themselves for that light.
And that is the key takeaway for us. Your challenges, the tough times, the struggles, they are not the end of your story. Iqbal is saying they are the necessary ingredients for a new beginning. That darkness isn't a sign of failure. It's the process that creates the dawn.
So look, Iqbal lit this lamp of hope over a century ago, but his philosophy isn't something to just admire in a museum. It's a challenge. It's an invitation to you, to me, to all of us. He's asking, will you carry that light forward? Will you use hope, resilience, and your own hard work to create a new dawn? The real question is, what's your answer?